Guys, today didn't go the way a normal day at Metro Prep goes. I walked in there and I thought I was going to sit down, my History 10 class, teach about the Cold War, teach about the FLQ crisis, maybe about the creation of the social safety net in Canada, and I was met with a 15-year-old walking up to me asking me how it's possible that a guy like Nick Fuentes is allowed to get on any social media platform and say things like, "Your body, my choice forever. Women lose, men win." Have you ever looked a 15-year-old in the eye and tried to answer how the adults in this world have allowed that to happen? How am I supposed to regulate, let's say, the inclinations of teenagers when they're looking at adults who aren't regulating this? Are you okay? Because I'm trying to do a job in there, and 15-year-olds right now are smarter, are better, or more empathetic than what's going on in parts of the United States. My students also realize that Nicky isn't the problem. He's just a symptom. And let's be honest, the internet really did handle him well. But after he made that post, they saw this tidal wave of comments of support for what he actually said. This tidal wave of little anonymous tiny little boys making statements of support, saying they can do whatever they want to women. They can pick whoever they want to parent or to mother their kids because they have control, because they have the rights, and women no longer do. Some of my kids used to talk about me taking them to States. Want to know what they say now? What are we doing? We talk about censorship and free speech. I talk about it very openly. My students know my stance on free speech. I am an adamant supporter. Threats are not free speech. They shouldn't be protected as such. What are you doing? When an individual threatens a group of people on the internet, the police should show up at their door the very next day, and it should be publicized everywhere. There was some woman that went up to Nicky's door. Do I advocate that? Absolutely not. But you know who should have knocked on his door? Police. Police should have knocked on his door. Because the kind of comments he's making, it's not about freedom of speech and political banter. This is violence. He is encouraging, he is emboldening violence. And the more that government officials, especially on his little red hat wearing brigade, doesn't say that this is unacceptable, that this is disgusting, they are allowing it to grow. And when the actual authors of the very manuals that have stipulated how they're going to put women back in their place so they can grow a very strong American population again, when they choose those people to be a part of the government, you are choosing to stand beside these men. How dare you? How dare you make me explain how this has happened? How good people have allowed this disgusting onslaught to happen against women in the United States of America. Should I send my 15-year-olds down to talk to some of your governors? To talk about what violence looks like? To talk about how silence only grows this kind of depravity? When you don't stand against it, you allow it to fester? Shall I send them down? Because they're pretty well educated. And they're pretty confused at your line of reasoning where you just allow it to happen. And you stand behind the guise of free speech like the cowards you are. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. They're going to grow up to be better people than we ever were. Because even though I didn't do this, somehow I feel like I allowed it. I'm not doing enough. Well, don't think I'm done. And don't think you haven't reinvigorated every bone in my body to ensure that and that mentality and that depravity and that violence against women in any form is going to continue. Because I do promise you this, there's way more me than there are of you. And I think your time, well, it's just about up.